This is the tale of Park Kang, a well-known and emerging actor. At the time, Park Kang was at the highest level of his career. He became proud of his money. Kang resides in an opulent and incredibly costly apartment. Jo Yoon, his manager, is always with him wherever he goes. Spoiler ahead, watch out! Jo Yoon was also an actor. However, he gave up acting after failing to find a good character in the acting field, and now working as Kang's manager. He was responsible for maintaining Kang's scheduling and concerns. Kang accepted an award ceremony for filmmakers one evening when he received the Best Male Actor prize. Kang spoke on stage, stating that, knowing that he had nothing at first and was from an overseas area, he never expected to be where he was now in his acting career. Soo-hyun, a girl, witnessed Park Kang win an award on TV somewhere else. When Kang wasn't wealthy, his ex was Soo-hyun. She recently returned from New York. On December 24th, Jo Yoon was going to head home to enjoy the festivities with his family when Kang invited him to remain and go to the bar, the same club where he had been drinking before becoming a well-known actor. While chatting, they are thinking back on their history. Prior to moving on to the final round, Jo Yoon and Kang actually attempted out together for a comeback. Unexpectedly, the goddess of luck was on Kang's side as he succeeded in passing the audition and shot to fame as an actor, whereas Jo Yoon gave up performing to take on the role of manager for Kang. Jo Yoon recalled that if only Kang had failed the audition, he and Soo-hyun would have formed a family and led happy lives. However, the couple left away 10 years ago, and Kang recalled how he had left Soo-hyun in the same bar. Soo-hyun traveled to New York to advance her studies in art, while Kang continued working on his acting career. Kang urged Jo Yoon to go with him to another bar, but Jo Yoon told him to take a cab and head home by himself. Kang talked with the taxi driver while drunk. Being driven by such a well-known actor on Christmas Eve made the driver feel fortunate. The driver believed Kang must be happy because he had everything a guy might wish for, to which Kang responded that the driver had no idea how he truly felt. The driver then responded that fame and wealth did not ensure satisfaction or joy in this life. The driver of the car asked a ridiculous question as if he knew what had been on Kang's mind. He questioned what Kang would do if granted the opportunity to alter the past. Kang awoke the following morning on an ordinary house's timber floor. He was very puzzled when he discovered himself in a strange place and saw two children in front of him addressing him as the father. Thus, Soo-hyun was his spouse. It was clarified to Kang that the two kids were his kids and that he was in his own home. Since Kang had drunk excessive amounts of alcohol the night before, Soo-hyun also believed that he hadn't completely recovered from his inebriation. Kang was still processing what had happened to him earlier. Jo Yoon was unavailable when he tried to reach him. Kang made the decision to return to his apartment. Even though he wasn't identified as a resident, he walked inside irresponsibly and puzzled the security personnel. Kang walked happily up to the top floor and attempted to unlock the door with the password. He was shocked when he saw another individual open the front door of his apartment. The owner of the apartment believed that someone had broken inside his apartment. The security personnel had to take him into custody after he stormed in and caused a disturbance. Despite the fact that nobody knew him, Kang attempted to explain that he was a well-known actor. Kang found himself at the police station not long after. He was puzzled and angry. The police confirmed that he did not own the apartment as it appeared in the database. When Kang realized all he had been destroyed in a single night, he found himself shocked. Kang felt worse when Soo-hyun came to get him. Consequently, Soo-hyun claimed to be Kang's wife, but Kang rejected her claim, making her mad and guessing that Kang was demanding a divorce. She was helped to calm down by the police, who noted that Kang was confused with his claims about his position as a famous actor. Kang continued to cast doubt on the reality of his marriage to Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun slapped her husband in order to wake him up because she was annoyed by his constant questions about their marriage. Kang noticed a cab driving by at that very moment. That night's event flashed into his mind. He got into this position after having a drink with Jo Yoon when he got into a taxi and had a conversation with the driver. Then Kang meets Ro-hee, his daughter. He was unable to recall his life around them. A few moments later, Soo-hyun tells Kang to watch the kids since she is going out to see her friends after the art lesson. Undoubtedly, Kang disagreed and recommended Soo-hyun to get a babysitter. After hearing it, Soo-hyun believed that Kang had remained drunken. Also, Soo-hyun reminds Kang to give up drinking and support her in paying the bills. Kang took the kids with him as he continued to look for more details about the taxi driver he met yesterday. He then inquired regarding the particular taxi from the taxi company. Sadly, they informed him that there was no cab that appeared similar to the characteristics he had mentioned. Kang asked his twin children a few questions to understand more about his new life. To Kang's amazement, he turned up in a cameo role there. Soo-hyun asked Kang to tell her what took place this morning when he entered someone's residence. Kang then revealed that he arrived from another universe after getting into a strange taxi last night. The driver of the taxi gave Kang a life that he didn't choose, which is how he ended up in this situation. Soo-hyun thinks that he has been uttering nonsense. After everything was happening to him, Kang didn't feel comfortable sleeping with Soo-hyun. His first day with his new family, which he never imagined he would have created at last, became a reality. He had to take care of his twin children, share meals with them, sleep together, and be a husband as well as a father at home. Kang was unable to adjust to his new life and did not have a close relationship with his kids. Soo-hyun informed Kang one evening that he was scheduled to film a movie with Mystic TV. Mystic TV was a low-rated television channel that broadcast low-quality films. He believed the channel was terrible, despite the fact he did a good job performing. His companion Woo-hee contacted him at that moment, seeking his help in promoting her theater show. When they finally meet, Woo was asked by Kang why he was unable to get in touch with Jo-yoon. He got to know that Jo-yoon, who served as his manager in his real life, was a well-known actor now. Woo-hee said that Jo-yoon is at work to promote his brand new film. It has suddenly become apparent to Kang that Jo-yoon has taken over his career. Kang attempted to visit Jo-yoon at the agency office one day. Then he asked Kang to join him for dinner. Because Kang left during the final audition in order to follow Soo-hyun at the airport, Jo-yoon had the ability to work as an actor. Then Kang went to Soo-hyun's gallery to meet up with her after lunch with Jo-yoon. Jo-yoon's statements indicated to Kang that he intentionally passed up the audition opportunity in order to pursue Soo-hyun. In contrast to reality, where Kang chose to focus on his profession and ended his relationship with Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun stated that she loves her life alongside Kang and their two kids right now. When Kang inquired what would have occurred if she had moved to New York 10 years earlier. In a nutshell, Woo-hee and Kang performed in a theater one evening. That evening, Jo-yoon, who was there. Following that, Jo-yoon treated everyone to an entire dinner. Woo-hee, whom Jo-yoon honestly seemed to appreciate in a previous life, caught his attention. In the next scene, Soo-hyun, along with her companions, were throwing a party at Kang's house with the food he bought from the restaurant. Despite being a little-known actor, Kang enjoys a great deal of popularity with the neighboring females. Kang's mother, who was very different from his mother in this world, came to spend time with them early the next day. Kang's mother was worried, in particular, upon hearing that he had left his work. Once she had seen Kang and her grandchildren, Kang brought her to the terminal so she could return home. She handed him some money and prayed that he would find an appropriate role. She gave him advice to buy flowers for the grave of his dad and treat his family well. It turned out that Kang had unpleasant memories about his father, which is why he hadn't previously wanted to visit his father's grave. Then he attends an audition. Unfortunately, an auditioner recognized that Kang was Jo-yoon's best friend, and Kang was brought down once again. When they next met, he told his bad experience to Jo-yoon. Jo-yoon made the decision to offer Kang a position as manager after realizing his state, and he wanted someone he was able to depend on. However, Kang turned down the opportunity since he thought everything in his life was shifting, and he was unhappy about what he possessed. The next day, Kang was unable to get in touch with Soo-hyun. While he and his two children had been playing at the playground, Ro-hee asked about the autographs that actors typically give to their fans. Then Kang showed signing for her. The girl, upon seeing it, declared that her father would eventually be capable of signing autographs like that. Ro-ha was playing by himself when he suddenly had an accident. They hurried him to the hospital right away. It was found out soon after that his wife arrived and worked at a convenience store, which made him appear weak as the family's leader. When Kang checked his ATM later, he observed that it was empty. Kang was dissatisfied with him because of the fact that he had been helpless for the last 10 years. He had no choice but to accept Jo-yoon's offer to become his manager since he knew he had no other choices. Seeing Jo-yoon as his boss, he got to work setting up plans, helping Jo-yoon in the shooting location, and even providing safety for him. Kang also didn't think twice to advise Jo-yoon on how much to charge for his movies or commercials. Kang leverages his 10 years of experience to help Jo-yoon increase his earnings. Then Kang assisted Jo-yoon with script readings as well. But Jo-yoon was actually too lazy to set the script to memory. Jo-yoon took too long to comprehend the script, which caused the directors to become impatient. Since the director was aware of Kang's acting ability, he ultimately chose to give the role of actor to him. Kang performed well. The director even gave him praises for his horseback riding skills when compared to Jo-yoon. Kang performed his acting duties with competence this time. His own family had been astonished by how he performed as well. Kang has started to embrace his life as the family's leader. His fondness for his family has grown. After that, Kang brought them to Jo-yoon's apartment, which he had lent to them. Soo-hyun ultimately disagreed with the plan. She believed that money had entirely transformed Kang. However, Kang sadly continued to fight as he had in his former life. Back at their old house, Kang walked into his children's room at night since he couldn't sleep. He came to the realization that acquiring luxury was not necessary. As he had been living a lavish lifestyle, he quickly saw the faults he had made in that life. Nevertheless, this state of life brings him happiness rather than wealth or loneliness. As the days, weeks, and months go by, Kang is able to let go of the past and move on. He even performed admirably in the drama he appeared together in with Jo Yoon. His family was overjoyed with his accomplishment, and Kang continued to work for Jo Yoon as a manager. Surprisingly, Jo Yoon praised Kang for his support after he won Best Actor. Jo Yoon invited Kang to a drink at the bar to celebrate winning the award. He informed Kang that there was indeed a role available for the upcoming drama, but the 3 months of filming will be spent abroad. Since Kang didn't want to spend so much time away from his family, he refused the offer. Kang would rather find another position. Then Kang decided to take a taxi home. It was Christmas Eve that night, exactly like it had been a year before when Kang's life changed. The cab driver then informed him that Kang was going back to his previous life and advised him that there was not much time left. Yet he was determined to stay instead of going back. Kang discovered that the driver was his dead father. His father said that because Kang was so busy with his career, he couldn't spend more time with him. Since Kang hadn't spoken to his father for a long time, that exchange became heartbreaking. Then Kang went back to his house. He gave his kids a firm hug right away and spent his final night sleeping with his wife. Kang looked unhappy after waking up in his opulent apartment the following morning, since all of his wonderful life had been taken away from him. Meanwhile, Jo Yoon made an appearance. Afterward, Kang inquired about Soo Hyun, who was hosting an exhibition in town. Jo Yoon verified that the show was coming to an end today. Then Kang promised to pay for Jo Yoon to apply for another audition. Kang set out to find the exhibition location. Kang found himself completely shocked upon seeing a picture of the house he had dreamed of, painted by an artist. Soo Hyun appeared from nowhere. Kang inquired how Soo Hyun drew up the painting right away. Next, Kang led Soo Hyun to a location where the house shown in Soo Hyun's artwork could be seen. After 2 years, Kang eventually got married to Soo Hyun. They had twins, Rohee and Roha. We really hope you enjoyed today's recap of the movie Switch. Please leave a comment below on what you loved about the movie and why. Be sure to like the video, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing so you don't miss any amazing content. Until next time, light, camera, action. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.